everyone, my name is Taylor Smith, aka the Career Coach, and I'm here today to share with y'all 3 tips I have personally used for salary negotiations. So whether this is for a brand new position that you've had for the very first time, or this is for a promotion or advancing in your career, these tips are sure to help you with your salary negotiations, to help make you more confident and sure when you are negotiating. So again, my name is Taylor Smith, the Career Coach, and I help college students and young professionals get noticed by recruiters, stand out as a top candidate, and get offers for paid internships and full-time opportunities. For all these tips and tricks, make sure to keep on watching to learn how to negotiate. Alrighty, so tip number 1 is to do your research. So whether you're utilizing LinkedIn, Glassdoor, or whatever other platforms you can find on the internet, you want to make sure that you are looking at the type of position that you're looking for, the similar industry, and also your area. And lastly, your level of experience. So by looking at these specifically, you can get an idea of a range and average of the salary that is available in the market, that is comparable, and should give you kind of a baseline or a target of where you more or less should be. So keep in mind the industry will vary per company. For example, the government, they usually offer a little bit of a lower salary because they have so many other benefits that other companies honestly cannot touch. And so you kind of make up for that in other ways. So you want to make sure that if you're interested in oil and energy, you're kind of looking in that field. If you're interested in pharmaceuticals, you're looking in that field. You're looking in that area. You're looking at similar positions, like I mentioned. Also, your experience level. So if you're a new graduate and you don't have any internship experience, make sure you're including that variable in there. If you do have internship experience, you can consider that as well, but you still are a new graduate and you still don't have as much experience as a professional that's been working at least 2 to 3 years. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. So whether you're in the 0 to 3 bracket, the 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, 10 years plus, 20 years, make sure you're considering all of that when you're looking. Some of the little graphs, they are over the span of 0 to 20 years. So don't see the 20K and think, oh yes, I demand that, I deserve that, because baby, you just graduated, your time will come. So lastly, make sure you're looking at comparable areas. So I live in Houston, Texas. I'm gonna be wanting to look at positions that are in the Houston, Texas area that are gonna be comparable to me, because the standard of living varies per city by city. So I mean, I could probably look at Dallas, Texas, and it will be okay. They're pretty similar salaries. I think they're pretty comparable. But if I wanted to move to like Silicon Valley, San Francisco, LA, maybe even NYC, then it's going to be a very different standard of living. So sometimes being able to look at positions and their standard salary is also kind of a wake-up call for you, especially if you know that you don't want to go below a certain salary range. Not to say that this is always the be-all, because depending on your experience and different things that you bring to the table, this can also factor what your salary will look like. And also it doesn't predict what the future will look like for you as well. But these are a few things to keep in mind. But the main thing is you're doing this research now, you're collecting all this information to give yourself an idea of what exists in the market already and what your target more or less should be based off of your experience, area, industry, etc. So tip number 2 is to recognize your value. So there are different things about you that you bring to the table. So whether this is your previous experience working for XYZ company, where you worked in this position already and and you ran all these reports, or you had these responsibilities, or maybe you worked in a totally different field, but you have these skills that are transferable and also applicable to this position, and it's going to put you far beyond everyone else. Or maybe it's your education, you went to school and you studied XYZ, and so these skills are transferable and are going to help you stand out from other candidates and are going to help take you to the next level. Whatever it is, you really need to assess yourself and determine what skill sets do I bring to the table that make me a unique individual, whether these are your education, your experiences from other professional positions, or maybe even some leadership skills that you have from being a part of different organizations or volunteering opportunities. But you really need to factor all of these different things that you bring to the table and really recognize your value. Do you have different certifications and trainings underneath your belt that make you stand out from other people? what is it? You know, even if you are a new graduate, like I mentioned before, there are still a lot of skill sets and things that you bring to the table. And it's really important that you recognize these things and you become very confident about it. And you know that I bring a lot of value, and me as a unique individual is going to be a great asset to this company. And obviously you are, because they already offered you at this point. Because if not, then you wouldn't really be preparing so much for negotiations. I mean, of course you want to prepare for negotiations before you get the offer as well, but by the time you actually make a counter and negotiate, you've already received an offer. So know that you are thebomb.com because they offered you. Obviously they want you. That's very clear and stands out in their eyes, so it needs to be very clear in your eyes as well. So know your worth, know your value, and really own that and have that ownership about yourself. Have that confidence, and the more that you can assess this and realize the things that you bring to the table that make you unique and a great asset, the stronger and more confident you are going to feel and be when it does come to that moment for you to negotiate. Alrighty, so tip number 3 is to always deny the first offer. And so by saying this, I mean that, let's back it up a little bit. So most companies, when they're recruiting and they're looking for individuals to join their teams, they already have some kind of limit or calculation in the background. So like you did your homework, you did your research to understand what are the average, they have that same information, more specific to their company as well. And so they already have more or less a meter on how far they can go with your salary, right? And so they usually offer you at this level, knowing that they could usually go a little bit higher. Sometimes what the company offers you is already the max, and that's okay. But sometimes they don't offer you the highest because they know that people are going to negotiate with them anyway. And so that's when it comes your time to speak up, because you already know your worth, you already did your research, and you raise your hand and you say, hey, I know that I bring these skill sets to the table and I think that I'm valued higher, and you make a counter offer. Of course, you always want to make sure that you thank them for the offer first, because 100% you are thankful that you are even considered for the position and you were offered. Off the bat, you made it this far, you went through a lot, and you really value and appreciate them reaching out to you. So you're very thankful, you're always thankful. But afterwards, you assess that and you definitely come back and say that you want something higher, whether that is a higher salary based off of these skill sets, or you ask and see if that they can do something higher for you. And by doing that, they're going to assess, they're going to do their little stuff in the background and talk to their team, and then they'll come back to you and they'll give you a higher salary. And so by doing this is going to help you get a higher salary in the long term, which is going to set a really good foundation for you no matter what it is that you do with that company or even the next position. And so why I say deny the first offer always is because even if you ask and they say no, that's literally the worst they can do. They're not going to renege and take your offer away. They're just going to say, no, I can't do that. And then that's up to you to determine if you want that opportunity or not. Maybe you have other opportunities on the table that you can leverage as far as negotiations, or maybe you just realize that that's something that you just really don't want to do, especially if you have to move out of state to somewhere else where the standard of living is higher. So that's up to you to determine the next steps on what you're going to do with the offer, but you can definitely also ask for extensions if you need more time. But my tip here is just to honestly be honest with the recruiter. Don't tell them 100% everything, but just try to let them know if you do have other offers on the table, if you're exploring other things, so that they understand and know what timelines you might need in order to make your decision. Because obviously they do want you, they do value you, but you also need to be respectful of the company and their time in case you were to say no. So it's good to just let them know. But regardless, deny the first offer. Doesn't hurt to see what else they have in mind for you as far as opportunities and salary, because this is going to be your foundation in this position before you advance to the next level. All right, so those are my 3 tips as far as negotiations go. If you want more information, or have questions, definitely put those in the comments below. But a few things that I want y'all to keep in mind is, one is to be humble. Remember, salary isn't everything, and sometimes there's other variables that outweigh that. In my career coaching program, I talk about that, and I create a pros and cons list with all of my clients to determine if this offer that they're receiving is really meant for them, or if they should explore other options, or maybe go with another offer that they have on the table. And this is something that I personally used when I had 3 offers on the table and I had to determine which one was the best for me, and all the salary was comparable. So I had to make sure that I was considering other variables to make sure that I was making the best decision for myself long term. So remember that and stay humble. Secondly, be honest. So like I mentioned before, sometimes being honest about your application process with other positions and companies is going to sometimes benefit you. You don't want to burn any bridges with people and, negotiate for something higher and, or maybe go MIA and don't answer and give them a decision by the timeline that they need, which can be very not respectful. And so you definitely don't want to burn bridges with people in case you are to go back and do something with them later. So just make sure that you try to be honest with them. Obviously, you don't need to tell them everything, but it doesn't hurt to have some kind of honesty. And in some cases, that can help expedite your process when they know that you're considering other options and they know that they need to act fast on what they want to do as far as a decision so that they can get offered. And that's exactly what happened to me for the position that I'm currently in. You also want to make sure that you're vigilant, so try not to put yourself in a box when it comes to salary. That's why you do the research beforehand to get an idea of what salary opportunities might look for you. So be vigilant and be open. And lastly, be thankful. Again, anytime you get offered a position, that is a great thing. You don't get offered for 100% of the applications you apply for. So you're always thankful whenever you receive an opportunity, even if it's not the exact salary that you're looking for. And that's okay. Even if you decide not to go with that company, it was still a great experience for you to sharpen and practice those interviewing skills and talking to people, practicing your elevator pitch, and more. So those are my main tips, y'all. Make sure that you stay connected with me on social media. You can follow me at tips_by_Taylor. If you want to learn more about all the services I offer, including my 10-week career coaching program, then check out my website, TaylorOSmith.com. I'll put all of this in the description box below. And if you'd like to see more videos where I talk about negotiations as well as many other things to help you with your application process from start to finish, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I will be posting my next video. And also don't forget to like this video. And happy job hunting. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.